Hi, I'm Norleen. I'm here to read Chapter 2 of Xanna, my fanfiction that I wrote years ago. Trigger warnings, teenagers, parents, embarrassment, annoying, poor writing. Let's get started. Chapter 2, Meeting the Parents. Early the next morning, Xanna awoke at the Crossroads Inn. It reeked of torrent anus for some odd reason she could not figure out. Yes, this of course infuriated Izzy. First you bump into a stupid orc being chased by raptors from a shortcut to here. Now you can't figure out why it smells like ass. I'd kill you if that didn't risk killing me as well, she said about the subject. It smells like torrent ass because the innkeeper is a Tauren. That's why it's annoying. Still, Xanna ignored it, slept, and now she woke. In quite a bit of pain. First time I get to sleep in a real bed in about a month, and I had to sleep in it with my stupid armor on. She sat up, stretched her arms, and let out a big yawn, scrunching up her face at her bed sores. Stupid place didn't have any changing rooms, she thought, oblivious to all the other travelers going into a room in the back with their armor on and coming out in nice and comfortable pajamas of sorts. They seriously should look into it, she went on, smiling as she popped one of her shoulders. Much better. At least you got some sleep. I couldn't because of your loud-ass snoring, Izzy griped to her body hostess, dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. Xanna rolled her eyes at her, continuing to stretch and pop her body parts. Now that you're awake, maybe I can get some sleep. And after saying that, the voice of reason passed out instantly. Finally, maybe now I can get some peace, Xanna thought, her eyes slowly falling upon her pillow after she was done stretching. Or maybe some more sleep. She laid her head back down on the pillow, snuggling into it as she closed her eyes. Hey, don't go back to sleep, she heard a familiar voice say, causing her to sigh. She peeked open an eye, seeing her orc friend eagerly awaiting for her at the bedside. I've been waiting like 3 hours for you to get up, he said to her, still staying put at her side, almost like a puppy. If you waited 3 hours, then I'm sure you can wait another 3 days, the girl replied back, closing her opened eye. The orc's jaw slightly dropped at this, letting out a small form of an offended, scoffing gasp of a sort. 3 days? Oh, come on, Xanna, wake up, he said to her like a child would sound when wanting a toy they were not allowed to have. She sighed. Time? Around 8 in the morning, the orc answered, slightly disgusting Xanna with being a morning person. Such things like that are just insane! Nevertheless, the girl held back her disgust and remained polite to the boy. Okay, I'll wake up, she said, able to feel Akazil's beam at her. Yay! In 4 hours, she interrupted his cheers, feeling his smile immediately disappear and turn into an irritated purse of the lips. Damn it, he muttered, staring blankly. At least I didn't say days, Xanna giggled, smiling as she nuzzled back into her pillow some more, her ears slightly twitching at the sound of Akazil's eye twitch and irritation. Fine. The young orc warrior boy sighed to her, closing his eyes and lowering his head. I'll wait for you to wake up. Upon saying this, he suddenly grew a smirk. Whatever. Fucking annoying. So dumb. And yeah, she's like super interested in making friends, given that she's dissing the first person to ever be excited to be around her in years. Yeah, that's a good way to make friends. Based on true mannerisms and behavior. The girl smiled, happy that she was going to get a little while longer more of rest and relaxation, even though she would just wake up in pain from her armor. However, her smile did not stay long, for she had suddenly met the floor, with her face very hard. Ow! She wailed, getting on her knees and rubbing her face. What the hell? What the hell is going on? Well, the green-skinned teen began, stepping over the girl to occupy her bed. You said you wanted to sleep, but you never said that you wanted to sleep on a bed. Akazil is apparently forcing me to stay awake, Xanna replied to her voice with a growl. The rogue girl leapt back onto her feet, her hands balled up at her sides as she glared and growled to her orc friend. Get the hell out of my bed, she yelled at him, stomping her foot. I'll kill that bastard for waking me up, Izzy growled along with her, her teeth suddenly as sharp as that of a carnivore's. Wow, you didn't call him a that time, her hostess couldn't help point out, suddenly inwardly grinning at her. You're starting to like him! Oh, how sweet! This only angered Izzy so much. Fire surrounded her and took place as her hair and eyes. No. I still like Izzy. Izzy's funny, but just stop it. Next scene. After sneaking away from the enraged voice in her head, Xanna addressed her attention back to the orc before he began to poke her for staring off into space again. "Get out of my bed," she said, staring blankly at him, also hoping that Izzy's fit wouldn't set her mind on fire and make smoke blow out of her ears. "I will if you stay awake," he said, remaining seated in her bed. "My face met the floor 2 seconds ago. I think I'm awake." "Good," the boy smiled up at her irritation. "Now we can start questing." He pursed his lips as Xanna groaned at his plans for the day. "Hey, questing is fun. When you're awake, it is. You are awake." The girl shot him a look of irritation at what he said. "What?" was all he had to say in return. She rolled her eyes and sighed. "Can we just get some breakfast?" she asked, looking very tired. "But we need to quest," the orc answered in a humorously pitiful tone, his stomach growling a moment later. "Looks like you're outvoted," Xanna smiled. "Stupid stomach," Akazil muttered. "Crap," he then heard Xanna suddenly say as she rummaged through her bags. "What's wrong?" "I don't have any food left and I'm broke," she answered, sighing as she put her bags aside. "Well, that teaches me to buy random shiny things for no reason," she muttered, completely oblivious to the orc raising an eyebrow at her. "I told you not to buy those shiny things, but no. You just had to have that shiny bird statue that does absolutely nothing!" Izzy nagged to her. "But it was shiny," Xanna said, thinking of the bird statue she had bought. "It was a useless bird statue," her voice continued, choosing to ignore said bird statue flying away in the background discreetly. "Fly away, bird statue." "It was still shiny," the rogue girl replied, folding her arms to her voice as a "that's that." Izzy only lowered her head, shook it, and sighed. "Shut up. The bastard looks like he's about to speak." "Aw, you do like him," Xanna teased. Ever so slowly the fire began to come back. "I'll just leave you alone now," she said, leaving as quickly as she could. "We can go to Orgrimmar," Xanna heard Oxil say as she went back to reality. Yeah, so I guess chapter 1 ended with Xanna being like... and Oxil being... "You want to go questing with me?" "Yeah, sure." That's the end of chapter 1, and it's just kind of established that Xanna's gonna be going... Xanna. And that's basically the story we're getting so far. At least we know that there's more going on in Xanna's head because of these hilarious little points of view and opinions from Izzy. But on the outside, that's how it looks between these two characters. She looks crazy, and he's dumb. It's so stupid. "I live there, so we can go there and I can make us something. Or we can just quest." "I vote questing," he said, both of their tummies yelling in anger, demanding food. 3-1, you're outvoted. The girl giggled. "Damn it," the boy muttered, a slight blush on his face. He then sighed and finally got off the girl's bed and back onto his feet. "Follow me." "Aye aye, Captain," Xanna said, saluting the boy. "You're a dork," he laughed. "Thank you," she said, grinning like an idiot. "Come on, let's go." He chuckled again, heading out of the inn. "Have a nice day. Come back soon." The innkeeper faked a smile as the two left, immediately going to the bed Xanna had taken to burn the sheets clean. Harsh, was all Izzy had to say about it as she watched him. Xanna paid her no mind and followed her orc friend to the crossroads flight path, suddenly remembering something. "Wait, how am I gonna pay for this flight? I'm broke." "Don't worry about that," Oxil said, reaching into his bag, pulling out a little handful of something and giving it to the girl. She simply stared at it. "If you have money, then why don't we just buy something here?" "Because the food here is horrible." "It's not that bad," Xanna muttered, remembering of the last time she had eaten anything from the crossroads. She'd thrown up 16 times within 5 minutes. "I'm pretty sure you're dying!" 16 times in 5 minutes?! Izzy had told her that they'd served her rotten food, and on purpose, but she refused to believe her, thinking that no one was that cruel. Still, after that, she refused to eat from the crossroads ever again. "Now I remember why I haven't eaten since yesterday morning," she said quietly to herself. "You haven't eaten since yesterday morning?" Oxil questioned with great concern. "We better get you food before your stomach starts eating itself," he exclaimed at her nod, hearing a loud rumbling coming from her belly. Too late, she giggled. Let's go! After purchasing flights and arriving to Orgrimmar, Xanna was escorted by her new friend to a hut-looking building his family called home. "This is my house," she heard him say as her head began to hurt the more her stomach yelled at her. "Cool," was all she managed to say before she passed out from hunger. A little while later, when the girl had woke, she once again woke up with an orc in her face. However, it was not Akazil this time. "Holy shit, what the hell is that?" Izzy exclaimed as Xanna made a little squeak and fell off the couch she'd apparently been on. She muffled a greeting to the floor with her face. The orc that had been the cause of the problem only slapped his knee and pointed as he laughed at her. Xanna began to change a few shades of red as she got back to her feet, standing at attention as she tried to hide how flustered she was. "Dad, do you always have to terrify people when they wake up?" came the sound of Oxil's voice from just a little bit away from the two, sounding just as flustered and a bit irritated. "Dad, that thing is a person?" was the first thing Izzy had to say. "Of course he is. Not everything that looks like a monster is an it or a thing, you know," Xanna replied to her voice, rather sensitive to those words after being addressed as such for so long. Now, having been made felt like an ass, Izzy remained silent and let her body hostess have her peace with her new orc friend and his father. Upon looking closer, Oxil seemed to look exactly like his father, only with lighter skin and possibly different hair color. He wore a helmet, so Xanna wasn't sure what was under there. Though the father had raven black hair, she imagined Oxil as a blonde. And the image right here, the mental image, is like the Fabio Harlequin book covers. And he's got the long, blonde, flowing, masculine hair. The big, beautiful man booby pecs. That's stupid. At this little random thought bubble, Izzy pulled out a quill and a piece of paper, writing something down quickly. Noticing, Xanna peeked over her shoulder to read the paper, seeing her name, Akazil, and Akazil's dad on it. "Why are you," she questioned, looking at the top of the paper, reading, "People to kill." "Oh, cut it out," she said, snatching the paper and ripping it up. Izzy sighed and pouted. "Geez, gotta ruin all my fun," she said, ignoring Xanna, staring blankly at her. Another thing, I just imagine these interactions in her head happening really quickly. "So you just gonna stand there all day and not say anything?" the two heard the older orc man say, staring at the blank face Xanna plainly. The girl began to change colors again and began to stammer. No, sir," she said, shaking her head profusely, then straightened up as much as she could and gave the man a salute. "Why the hell did I just do that? I was about to ask the same thing, but then I remembered that you're an idiot," Izzy said to embarrass Xanna even more so. "Do I have to sick raptors on you again?" The voice's eyes widened at remembrance of the raptors. "No," she squeaked out, shrinking and retreating into a dark part of Xanna's mind to be safe. The girl was satisfied with the quietness in her mind, well aware that it probably wouldn't last long, but still satisfied. "You gotta keep her here, son," she suddenly heard Oxil's father say as he chuckled and lightly nudged her with his elbow. Keeper? She pondered what he meant. "I think he means..." "So, how long have you and my son been dating? Do you plan to be married?" "Dating?" Xanna thought, turning several shades of red and pink again at the accusation. "If you do, which I'm sure you will because you look like that lovely type of girl, and I have raised my son in that way, otherwise I would break his legs, then you better have a lot of kids," the orc man continued, beaming at the two blushing teens. Of course, Izzy only rolled around on the floor of Xanna's mind in a laughing fit. "Dad!" Oxil exclaimed, steam fuming out of his helmet from how embarrassed his father had made him. "What? I want a lot of grandkids." "We're not dating. We're just friends," the young orc boy exclaimed to his father about the shade of Xanna's regular pink skin beneath his helmet. "Ah, I get it. Just friends," the elder orc replied, making air quotations and winking at his son. "I'll just leave you two just friends alone now." He made the air quotes again, laughing as he left the room. Akazil groaned, throwing his helmed face in his hands, sighing, then making his way for his not girlfriend. I'm sorry about my dad, he muttered to her, not looking her in those beautiful dark yellow eyes of hers. It's fine, she squeaked, blushing more. Next scene of this godforsaken fanfiction. Akazil, is that you I hear? Came a feminine voice from another room. Oh no, the boy replied to the sound of it, his eyes widening a bit in horror. Who's that? Xanna asked him, her ears twitching a bit at the sounds from the other room. My mom, he replied stiffly, already beginning to change colors once again. As if on cue, an elder orc woman entered into the room. She was rather pretty, for an orc anyway. Dark reddish spiked up hair, light green skin like her son, a cute nose ring, and such pretty blue eyes. It is! She exclaimed at the sight of seeing her baby. The happy mother then ran over to her child and nearly smothered him to death in a hug. My baby is home! She cheered with such glee, hugging him tighter and tighter into her bosom. Mom, I can't breathe! The poor boy exclaimed, his eyes slowly coming out of his helmet like a humorous cartoon. She immediately let go of him and placed her hands on her hips, giving him such a stern mother hen look. It's probably because of that armor. What have I told you about wearing it in the house? Go upstairs and change into some more comfortable clothes, she nagged to him. But I'm perfectly fine in my armor, Akazil protested. Upstairs now, young man, she addressed to the stairs. Yes, ma'am, Akazil sighed, slowly heading for the stairs to go change out of his armor. And then the woman's eyes fell upon Xanna. You should change too. I think I have some spare clothes you can borrow, she said, heading for the stairs as well. I guess he was hoping his parents would be out while we came here to have some breakfast, she thought as she followed the woman. They didn't even have to speak for me to hate them. Speaking just proved that I should hate them more, Izzy threw in as they passed a few doors before stopping and entering one of the rooms. Xanna stood at the doorway while Oxil's mother went to address her, opened one of the drawers, and pulled out some clothes. Here you go. Now I'll leave you so you can change, she said to the girl, quickly leaving after. The young halfling girl just stood there for a moment. Oxel's parents are creeps? A little weird. I still say creeps, Izzy said in her usual tone, arms folded over her chest. Hey, do you think they know about him being a... Xanna rolled her eyes at her voice. Shut up, she said to her, shutting the door to get changed. Izzy quickly smacked a hand over her eyes to not see. Fine, she grumbled irritably. Xanna then stopped paying her any mind and continued to change. Once done, she placed her dirty clothes in one of her bags and headed back downstairs, keeping her ears perked up to find the kitchen. Once found, she saw something she didn't expect. I guess they're really nice people if they're totally fine leaving the stranger unattended to in their home. For all they know, Xanna's a thief. So good on them for being nice. Within the whole 24-hour or so timeline that she knew the young orc boy, she'd never gotten a good look at the main features of him, his facial and head features. The whole time they had quested the day before, he never took off his helm once. He even slept with it on at the Crossroads Inn. By that point, Izzy figured he was hiding something, and Xanna just ignored it and said that he had to sleep with it on because there were no changing rooms. Well, none that the bastard innkeeper would tell her about anyway. Aren't you two more comfortable now that you're out of all that armor? The orc woman asked as she set up the table for the breakfast she had made. Her son answered the question with an irritated look. Thankfully for him, it went unseen by his mother. Izzy only smirked at his palpable irritation. I wonder why he has that look on his face. Could it be because he's, bald? Shut the hell up! He probably shaved it! Xanna blushed as she defended her friend. Uh-huh. That's why it's so shiny and has no hair. Not even a little bit of stubble. Well, okay, he's bald. Come and sit down, dear. Eat some breakfast. Xanna heard the orc woman calling for her. Now being back in reality, she left the doorway and headed for a space next to Akazil at the table, staring at the literal mountain of food his mother had made for them. I know we came here for food, but it's not like there's a whole army coming. Is there? She thought, still staring at the meal. I don't think that this much food is necessary, Mrs. She began to verbalize her thoughts, wishing she hadn't spoke as she then watched the two male orcs piling food onto their plates. Call me Yatana, she smiled to the girl, also beginning to pile on some of the pancakes, eggs, and bacon onto her plate. Next scene. Xanna looked back to the shrinking mountain. Thanks for making us breakfast. Oh, no problem, hun! The woman giggled and began to stuff her face in a less vulgar manner than that of the two males at the table. Oxel's father said with a mouthful of bacon. He then swallowed it and continued speaking. Any girlfriend of my son is always welcome in the Xanna household, he said with a big grin. Hearing this caused poor Akazel to choke on his food. Xanna smiled politely, ignoring the girlfriend comment, and nodded. Thank you, Mr. Xanna, she said, sticking out her tongue after having to deal with saying the name. She was never very good at pronouncing names that weren't that of a blood elf or night elf, not due to her heritage, but because she plainly had a hard time with it. She put her tongue back in her mouth where it belonged, then placed a small portion onto her plate and began to join the others in eating. Wow, this is good, she exclaimed, putting more of the yummy food onto her plate. Thank you, Yatana giggled, then burped, and giggled again as she blushed. Pardon me. Her husband next to her then burped loud enough to lightly shake the whole room, completely nonchalantly. Yes, my wife is a fabulous cook. She should be a chef. After giving his wife a compliment, he leaned over to her and began to cover her with kisses. Makthra, the children! She giggled at him. Oxel quietly groaned and laid his head down on the table, covering it with his arms in embarrassment and a bit of shame. Xanna tried not to watch herself, trying to be polite, but she really didn't mind it at all. When Makthra was done being sweet with his wife, he looked... I'm sorry, did they fuck in front of the kids? This is how you do it, son. Oh, Makthra, you're being rude. Sweetie, make sure that you pleasure the woman. This is so fucking stupid. When Makthra was done being sweet with his wife, he looked to Xanna, a more serious look on his face now. So, Xanna, didn't you say Ak? You never did answer my question. At this, his son quirked a brow, hoping it wasn't what he was thinking. What question, Makthra? Yatana asked as she ate another pancake. I asked how long she has been dating our son. Dad! Akazel yelled to his father, his face a bright red like it was earlier, as did Xana's as she punched Izzy from bursting out into laughter again. Ow! Oh, Makthra, don't harass the children. Must you ask every girl that Akazel brings home that question? Yatana said, trying to get her husband to stop bothering the two teens. Every girl? I knew it! He is a... Izzy exclaimed, pointing an accusing finger. Xanna growled and hit her very hard with another bat. Son of a bitch! Like music to my pointy ears. That woman was my trainer, Dad. I keep telling you that. And because of how you acted when she came over that one time, she makes me work harder than all the other students. He yelled more to him. Maybe you should have popped the question sooner. Oxel only stared blankly at him. Let's just finish our breakfast and not talk about me marrying someone that I'm not dating and whom I also met only yesterday, he said, quite irritably. Yes, Makthra, stop harassing them and eat your food, Yatana said, trying to help out more. I just want to make sure that we have lots of grandchildren, Yatana. Don't you want lots of grandkids? I'm too young to be a grandmother, said the 40-something looking orc woman. And he's still just a baby himself. Wow, I almost feel bad for him, even though he's a... I mean, his parents are arguing over him dating and getting married and having kids when he's still a young kid himself, but still old enough to... Poor Akazel. I think we should run and get as far away as we can from this place while we still have the chance. Next scene. Yatana had finally gotten Makthra to stop talking about their son marrying Xanna and having children, giving everyone some peace from the silence as they finished up their breakfast. Sadly, the silence didn't last long. The cause need not be specified. So, Xanna, I cannot help but stare at your eyes. Are you wearing contacts? Run, bitch! Run! Guess what that's from? Izzy exclaimed, not helping with Xana's immediate panic attack caused by the question. I knew I should have worn my sunglasses. Well, Makthra said a bit more sternly, beginning to tap his foot as he grew impatient. Xanna sighed, pushing her plate away, figuring that she might as well tell the truth and get the whole kicking out thing over with. I'm half blood elf, half night elf. What? the elder orc man exclaimed, standing up and slamming his hands down on the kitchen table in outrage.
No son of mine is going to marry an alliance! Your relationship together is over! I forbid him to ever see you again!
Thank you for the meal. I will be going now. Goodbye, Xanna said politely, reaching for her bags. I'll mail the clothes back to you, if you still want them.
What? No, don't go!
Oxil said, attempting to get out of his chair, remaining seated after looking to his father.
Xanna!
Makthra, calm down. You have no right to judge her. She has no control over her heritage,
Yatana said sternly to her husband, causing him to back down and be quiet. Right, because that's gonna get rid of prejudice. Just chill the fuck out. God damn it, enemy! The kind orc woman then turned to Xanna with a smile and addressed for her to take back her seat.
That is very interesting that you're half horde, half alliance. Who was the night elf of your parents?
She asked as the girl sat back down. Xanna was in shock. First, Akazil accepted her, but he was probably clueless about the two sides hating each other, and now this woman, old enough to maybe have fought in a war or two against the Alliance, and accepting her with such a warm smile. Trying to fight back her emotions to cry, she gave an answer. I was told it was my dad. What's going on in this fanfiction, is absolutely not the reason why they are at war in the game. Their reason for being at war in the story is completely stupid bullshit that I made up.
Told? What do you mean? You never saw your own parents, honey?
The woman asked, not meaning to be nosy, but just curious, not seeing her son wave his arms as a sign to not go near the subject. Also not seeing it, from having her head now facing her lap. Xanna shook her head and replied to the woman. I'm an orphan, she said quietly, twiddling her thumbs. Oxil's parents' eyes widened, especially Makthra's, now feeling guilty for the outburst. After what happened so many years ago, he began to hate the Alliance, but not orphans.
Oh, you poor thing!
Yatana wailed, grabbing Xanna and smothering her in her bosom with a motherly hug.
Growing up without any motherly affection!
It's fine. I can't breathe!
Xanna choked out as her head grew bigger and changed colors from lack of air. The overly affectionate mother then released the poor child.
Would you like to stay with us?
She threw out right after.
What?
The other said simultaneously.
What? I think it would be a great idea. She can have a family to stay with, and Akazil will be able to hang out with his girlfriend every day.
She's not my girlfriend!
Oxil exclaimed yet again with his flustered face and steam of irritation lightly fuming off his head.
You're right, honey. That's a brilliant idea.
Makthra agreed, now having a changed view on the halfling girl due to her being an orphan.
This is why I married you,
he said, holding her close and kissing on his wife.
Because of that smart mind of yours.
Really? It's as easy as that to get rid of your racial prejudice?
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Oxil muttered at the sight of his parents being mushy with each other.
Me too. Wait,
Izzy said, running off in Xanna's mind to vomit. I think it's cute, Xanna disagreed with the other two, hearing more vomiting from Izzy in the back of her mind. You just have no taste in romance.
I could say the same to you. I think I just threw up a lung. Or my stomach.
Izzy groaned and passed out once done with her exaggerated vomiting. Peace and quiet, Xanna thought happily, inwardly smiling at it. Maybe I should try to look up a brain surgeon while she's unconscious, she thought. Then pulled out a stick and began to poke at her before going back to reality. So she's just sitting there, spaced out again after being offered a home to stay in, instead of being kicked out and beaten and battered and bruised for being half this and half that, something she physically has no control over. Goddamn this story! Next scene!
Mom, where's she gonna stay?
Oxil said to his mother, not wanting Xanna to live with him in a place where his family would be too.
The guest room, of course,
his mother replied to him with a smile as she gently hung off his father.
Damn, forgot about that room.
I don't know why, but I feel like a rag doll, Xanna thought as she watched the others chat over where she would stay, when she still hadn't even agreed upon living with them. Though that was a yes, but still, the point remained. Probably because they keep talking about you getting married with their bastard of a son and living with them. Or you're just weird, Izzy pitched in, shrugging sarcastically at the last bit. You never stay unconscious for long, do you? Unfortunately, no. I would think that you'd have learned that by now since I've been in your mind your whole life, but then I remind myself that you're an idiot. And I remind myself of the raptors and bats, Xanna said irritably in her voice. Izzy rolled her eyes at the attempted threat. That doesn't bother me anymore. I figured as much. But this will! What? The poor voice was interrupted with images of the orc's parents playing tonsil hockey. Oh God! Make it stop! For the love of God, make it stop! She shrieked, running away to vomit again. Xanna snickered quietly at the sounds, her ears twitching in satisfaction. Once done with torturing her voice, Xanna finished her breakfast with her orc friend. Then they both headed for the upstairs to change back into their armor.
Oh, can't you stay for just one night, Aki?
The boy's mother asked, causing the boy to halt in his walking, lower his head, blush, and give a low growl. Aki? Man, these guys must hate him or something. Izzy chuckled, immediately stopping her copious vomiting to laugh at the young boy. Don't make me get those images again, Xanna threatened, a light blush on her face as she glared at her voice. Bring it! I'm ready, she replied as she blindfolded herself, smirking as her ears twitched, hearing her host growl at her. The girl pondered, then set the blindfold on fire.
Holy shit!
Her voice screamed and ran around humorously. All Xanna could do was laugh at her. Sweet music. Mom, do you have to call me that in front of my friend? Xanna heard the orc say to his mother, the blush on his face a bit bigger. She just smiled, waved a passive hand, and hissed at him.
Oh, I'm sure she calls you that all the time, since you two are not dating.
Axel turned around to finish his mother's sentence, his face now a completely bright shade of red.
Yes, of course you aren't. Now why don't you two just stay the night?
Mockthor said, pretty much continuing to ignore his child. Super great parenting.
We need to get back to the Barrens and start questing again,
the younger orc male said to him.
I'm sure you can take a day or two off from questing.
But...
No buts. Your mother and I insist you two stay for the next couple days.
Axel hung his head low and sighed, the area around his head turning a shade of blue, from what Xanna could see. There was simply no winning an argument with either one of his parents. He wished that he could leave, not to quest, but to be alone with Xanna, and get to know her better. Well, I mean, he's trying to be productive with that lust, so... Though he'd only just met the girl, he really did wish that she was his girlfriend. But those were thoughts to be put aside for later. At this current moment, he was going to focus on getting his family to not embarrass him in front of her. Xanna, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind staying all that much, if at all. Sure, the idea of staying in a house of someone she had just met yesterday was a little odd and probably not very safe. At least someone points it out. But staying meant sleeping in a bed. A real bed. And she wouldn't have to sleep in it with her armor on. Just the thought of it seemed like heaven. Comfy pillows, warm blankets, no armor. It sounds so perfect. Then Izzy strolled by, glaring at her with a black mark across her eyes. I hate you, she said, narrowing her eyes a bit more at her. I know, that's why you're still in my mind. Call back to chapter 1! Final scene. Thank God. While discussing sleeping arrangements, meaning Axel's parents telling the two teens what to do, everyone heard the door open and shut.
Mom, Dad, I'm home.
Who's that? Xanna asked Axel, quirking a brow as her ear twitched to the new person in the house. He began to answer when the other person entered the room. He was a young male orc, like Axel, only with darker green skin, hair, blacked and spiked up, and blue eyes like Yatana's.
Hey, what's everyone doing in...
he was saying when his eyes fell upon the pretty girl in the room. No, not his mother.
Is today my birthday?
Mockthor and Yatana just laughed. Axel groaned, and Xanna put on a polite, tad nervous smile. It's a family of... Izzy uttered out in slight annoyance. If you get involved in a family orgy, then please count me out. I'm surprised that I haven't killed you yet. You couldn't, nor wouldn't, ever kill me. And even if you did, you would have no one to talk to when you get lonely. Even you don't talk to me when I'm lonely. And when you do, you're annoying and snarky. Izzy shrugged. Usually can never think of anything to talk about, considering I can't really go out and have my own life. Also, I don't like you. I currently can't think of anything to kill you with, so you can continue on not having a life. But don't worry, I will. Eventually. Izzy rolled her eyes. By the time you do that, we'll both be dead, she said, seeing Xanna's blank and a tad offended stare. You know it's true. Ignoring you now. Screw you too, bitch. Those last two lines actually came directly from a conversation I had with my cousin. I seriously need a new brain. Xanna sighed irritably as she went back to reality.
No, it's not your birthday, Makaza, Makthar told his other son. This... Aw, can't it be an early birthday gift?
The younger orc child whined. It? Xanna thought, pouting her lips a bit, offended. Unintentional it may have been. It was one of the few words that offended Xanna when described by others.
Xanna is not an it, you little twerp.
Oxil growled at his younger brother for disrespecting yet another girl, hitting him hard on the head for it. Oh god, he likes you.
Does not.
Well, I mean, he does, but not like that. Just whatever. Xanna growled to her voice, trying to ignore her and stay in reality.
He is right, hon. Xanna is not an it,
Yatana said, slightly swatting her eldest for leaving yet another bump on her youngest.
But she is his girlfriend,
her husband added delightedly.
Is not. If she's not, then...
The younger orc smirked and stepped closer to the girl.
So... Xanna, eh?
He asked, receiving a nod and completely ignoring his brother shooting daggers at the back of his head.
Cool. I can dig it, he said, trying to be smooth and sly.
Then his eyes fell upon hers, seeing that they were yellow when they should be the common blood elf green.
What's up with your eyes? You get transplants or something?
No, honey. She's half night elf,
his mother corrected him with a polite smile.
Night elf?
He questioned, all his flirtations leaving, an aggressive look now upon his face. He then pulled out a dagger and yelled to the innocent girl.
Alliance assassin!
He cried, tackling her to the ground. Everyone gasped and screamed for Xanna, Makthar and Oxil having to pull the young orc off the poor girl.
The hell is wrong with you?
Boys, calm down. This was just a misunderstanding is all,
Yatana said to calm her children, petting them both.
Makaza, she is a halfling with no home, and she's Aki's girlfriend.
We are not dating. How many times do I have to say it?
Akazil growled, his face changing to all sorts of shades of red.
So we have insisted that she stay here,
Makthar finished for his wife, ignoring their eldest once again. Yeah, plus we also need to talk about the wedding. Izzy had Xanna tease the poor orc, causing him to faint. We still don't know what's really going on. What adventure is there? A slice of life adventure that's going on with her discovering friendship, which is just that people are annoying? But thanks for being here with me. I hope that you still had fun. Leave comments down below, like, share, and subscribe. May the peace be with you.